Good morning, welcome to Yesterday Today, Wednesday the 6th of February. It's officially hump day, and I hope you're all trucking through. Today we've got some news from the Shields Daily Gazette, Wednesday the 6th of February, 1867. First up, we've got a pretty urgent message from the front page from one J. Blackett. Observe, observe. 69 Tyne Street, North Shields. J. Blackett, grocer, tea dealer and provisions merchant, has just received a stock of new bacon of the best quality, which he is able to sell cheap. Flour and biscuits for tea, coffee, sugar and other groceries. JB is determined to maintain the character of the cheap shop by continuing to sell goods of the best quality at low prices. Notice, tea at 2p an ounce or 2 shillings 6p a pound is specially recommended, as being of good flavour and great strength. Or, perhaps you might prefer some painless dentistry. Teeth by Parker's invention. Artificial teeth to last a lifetime are made and fitted in a few hours without pain or extraction. And then this next bit's in capitals. It says, no springs or wires required. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds terrifying. Springs or wires. I mean, at least this one doesn't need them, but what of the other ones? On to more serious matters and the long-running discussion of whether or not an organ in a church is acceptable behaviour. The United Presbyterian Presbytery of Newcastle and the organ question. At the usual monthly meeting of the Newcastle United Presbyterian Presbytery, held in the vestry of Clavering Place Church yesterday, the Reverend R. Leitch, moderator, the discussion on the organ question was resumed. The Reverend Mr. Shannon opposed the overture against the organ and denied that these congregations where organs could be introduced were liable to a charge of ritualism. The Reverend Mr. Fiskin thought if the supporters of the organ were not backsliders, they might at least be called lapsarians or supralapsarians. The Reverend Mr. Potter characterised as a misconception the idea that the use of an organ was necessarily associated with the corruption of scriptural worship and was the antecedent to all these errors from which the Reformation had freed them. He was afraid he could not dwell upon the lamentable groan uttered last Presbytery. Mr. Parker dared not stand forth in Sunderland and tell the Baptists, Independents and Methodists that they are on the high road to Rome and ecclesiastical bondage because they used the organ. The Reverend Mr. Stammond then withdrew the motion he had made on the subject, and that of the Reverend Mr. Bell was agreed to. It was to the effect that the Presbytery deem it inexpedient to take action upon the question of the overture from the congregation of Bellingham. The weather, Tuesday. The winds were strong and squally on our southern coasts yesterday. This morning they are chiefly southwesterly, moderate to strong on southern and eastern coasts, and westerly and moderate on our northern coasts. In the southwest of Ireland, they are northwesterly and strong. Barometric pressure has again decreased and is unsteady. In the north of Scotland, barometers have fallen below 29 inches. Temperature generally has declined. Rain has been very general on our coasts. So for anyone that thinks that weather forecasts are crap these days, spare a thought for the people of 1867, where the weather wasn't even a forecast. It was just a report on what the weather has been like for the past few days, which is utterly useless. I mean, presumably it's up to you to divine what you will from the reports. And for anyone who might be cynical about politics, House of Commons yesterday. Honourable members began to assemble shortly after 12 o'clock, but nothing of interest took place. Boom, good to know. And we're going to close out the day's important news with these shining testimonies for Dr. Russell's Lixavine, an ointment that apparently both supports your hair growth and keeps your locks clean and soft. It stops my hair falling off, J. Saville. My whiskers are now abundant and thick, Neil. My hair has gone in patches from illness, but is now growing nicely, Miss Webb. My moustache is envied by everybody, Major Birch. I was bald for 9 years, but now my head is covered with hair, J. Spence. It's a miracle, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Spence has got his hair back after 9 years. If you would like to find us on social media, you can do so. And if you would like to support us on Patreon, you can also do that. You can find all the links to that at darkhistories.com. That was yesterday. This is today. Have a good one.